Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to I Didn't Kill Myself This Week. Oh, shoot. We just missed it.
We just missed it. We can
My
stop.
butt?
Is that what you were trying to do?
Yeah, we were trying to check your butt out.
Amazing.
Okay. You're welcome.
Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Good, doing great. Welcome to This Is I Didn't Kill Myself This Week.
And
Oh,
we
you
have
have wine?
such a fun topic. Yes, I have wine. It's a topic for wine. We have to do a huge, major trigger warning because we decided instead of discussing divorce, we're going to wait for Natalya's divorce to go through. We decided it would be better to talk about suicide. And that time she tried to do it and failed.
Yeah.
Failed miserably.
Yeah, I suck. I'm the worst. But here we are now. That was
No.
so morbid.
Not really. It's how I felt for a long time, but now I'm very grateful that that didn't happen. I definitely felt like a failure. Um, what was I? I had some notes. I'm just looking at them.
Okay, well, let's go over our weekend. How was your weekend, guys? What'd you do?
I went bowling. That was
So
fun.
cute.
Yeah, with some new
And
people.
Mushroom picked too, wasn't that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Natalia
and I
picked this
mushroom
weekend.
picked.
Did you
Yeah,
make
I
money?
did.
Or you just did it for fun?
No, just for fun.
Boo.
But I also found a spot with clay, and that was really cool. So now I'm drying that out, and I'm gonna try and make some clay things.
Nice.
Have a little fire, throw them in, see what happens.
Cool. That's awesome. I went golfing. The boys are crazy. The first day they played 9 holes. The second day they played 36. No, sorry. The first day they played 18. The second day they played 36. The third day they played 9. I don't know how. I played 9 the first day and then 9 the last day. But to play 36 in a single day sounds so miserable to me. I would have broken something for sure.
Also sounds like they're a little bit obsessed.
Yes. Yes, they are. And I got a massage and I swam in the pool in the hot tub and I danced and I ate really good food and I drank too much.
That's
Sounds
fun.
lovely.
Mhm.
Talia took me out for lunch to a little local Italian place, and it was lovely.
Mm.
I did a lot of grocery shopping. Went to Costco, went to Superstore. I did nothing exciting this weekend. And today was like still part of my weekend, and I cleaned and
Yeah, I cleaned today too.
like washed the inside windows of the van and like
That's so satisfying though, especially with all the dog noses on them.
oh
Drive me nuts.
no. I need to put a kennel back in the car. Anyways.
Zena and I also noticed that we are drinking out of the same mug and that we're drinking the same
Same
tea
brand.
brand. So it's
And Deanna
Yogi.
didn't know that the Yogi tea bags have like adorable little quotes to get you going.
Encourage. So
Encourage.
I went and grabbed my tea bag out of the garbage. And this is what it says. Gratitude is not about what is received, it's about how you receive what is there.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a good
Mine
one.
is you are the master of your judgments, your decisions, and your actions, which I failed at a little bit today. I definitely had a temper tantrum today. So cheers to that.
Today, yesterday, the day before, I'm so hormonal and postpartum is kicking me in the ass this time.
Yeah, well, you also don't have like energies to throw into a living baby, so that must make it harder. Oh man. I was gonna say
Oh,
something funny, now I can't remember. It was less morbid, I promise. But yeah, so we're gonna jump into my suicide attempt, guys, which I actually haven't thought about in a long time. And then I was reading to Zena the not notes, like I wrote it when I was in the psych ward because I had so much time. Like you don't have anything else to do. So I wrote each day what I did, what led up to it, all that fun stuff, which is great because now we can talk about it and we actually have like what happened from my perspective at that time.
Yeah.
So do you guys think I should just kind of tell the story, or are you gonna like, how should we do this?
I thought it would be cool if you told your story, your perspective, everything, how you felt, and then also the day that we found out, because I remember exactly where I was, how I reacted, and like that part of it for me. But it's your story for you to tell, so we'll
Okay,
we'll say
so
that at some point.
I'm
I feel like
gonna,
if we have questions though, I'll interject if I'm like wanting clarification or different understanding, if that's okay with you.
yeah, no, that's perfect.
Cool.
Um, so I'm just gonna kind of read it out a bit because it'll be more true to how I felt at that time than what I remember. But I'll just breeze through a little bit. We'll have to edit to get rid of some crap probably. So the reason that this all kind of came up is it was during COVID. I was supposed to go down after a wedding to go see Xena and Quinn. They had just had Bronson. But because COVID made an announcement and things got worse, I couldn't go. And that's the first time I had one of my like really bad mental breakdowns where I like cry and hyperventilate and I throw up, which was a whole new thing for me. So it was the first time that happened. I had to get Mav to pull over on the side of the highway going back from Alberta to Terrace and throw up. So that was really fun because I was just so devastated to not be going to see you guys. One, to see Bronson because he was just born, our first nephew. And I think a lot of the time I was just coping until the next time I could see you guys. So it was, I took it a lot harder than, uh, normally someone would. So then in my notes, what I said is, I didn't realize how sad I'd been feeling and bad, but it didn't really hit me by how much until I started doing research on forms of suicide. So I was laying in bed and I started like Googling, how do you kill yourself? What are the ratings? What's most successful? And the one that stood out to me the most was hanging, because I felt like once you tried that, there was like less of a chance of failing. But my big fear with that was I didn't want someone to have to find me that cared about me or loved me. So I was like, I'm gonna book a hotel in Whistler. I've been wanting to go to Whistler, so I might as well have a good time, have a couple drinks, go to the hotel room, and hang myself. That was my plan. Um, so then I realized that I would have had to bring my dog because I was gonna come down for like a month to be with the Bronson stuff. And I'm like, I can't do that with my dogs. And I'm like, oh, I'll drop it off at the house and then I'll leave a note just saying that um, that I'll be back when it's okay. That's what I wrote down. How awful is that? Like,
I'm dying listening to this. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know any of this, and I'm just like, go on.
I have a question.
yeah.
Now, so I can't remember. Like, I remember you not being able to come down from COVID, but I can't remember if I was like a nervous Nelly new mom that was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't come, or if I was like, oh, it's fine, just come. I feel like I was more nervous because you were just at a big wedding, right?
Well, you were okay with it. The plan was that, like, I had my car in Prince George. The plan was that I was going to come down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then things with COVID got worse. They made announcements about it, and then you got nervous. But you also just had a baby in the hospital, seeing all this, and I was at a wedding. It was a small wedding within the limits of what was allowed at that time, but then everything just got heightened.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. That was so dumb. I should have just been like, you should come.
Um,
We could have skipped a lot of trauma.
well, guys, we're here now, so, and I learned a lot, and I'm, got on the right meds and better forward in a long roadway. So, Maverick asked what my plan was. I proceeded to tell him about Whistler, just saying like I just wanted to get away. And he's like, "You hate being around me so much you have to leave." I was like, "Well, you don't know. I actually just want to die." Um,
Okay, so
s-
clarification.
yeah.
You Like, did he know that you wanted to go away? Like, were you planning on going to Whistler to like quarantine? Was that
I think something like that. I
kind
don't
of,
remember. It was
to come
so,
down after that?
it was such like a manic, determined feeling. I was like,
Mm.
I just have to do this.
Okay.
Like I just felt so desperate. I could barely function.
Mm-hmm.
So then Mav was pissed off. There's just stupid stuff about us making nachos for dinner, and it was a shocking thing because he considers nachos not like a real food, so, or they're a snack. They're not a dinner, but we had them for dinner. These are stupid things I was writing. So then my notes are saying I envisioned myself hanging in different scenarios and how it would affect everyone, but mostly whoever found me. It seemed messy and so unkind. I didn't want to do that to someone else. So then eventually I was laying in bed so comfy and I thought, what if I just take pills, lay in bed and not wake up? The sound of that was so, it just brought me peace. It was so nice. Oh, and then it goes back. I went and got rope and tied it and thought, so simple. But then I was also afraid I would lose the nerve because, I was committed at this point. Later downstairs, I wrote a note in my phone saying Xena gets Charlie, which Maverick says he was going to go to court over for, but it was in my notes, guys. And then all my money, and I said, it's not much, but those two could use it, I'm sure.
That's probably good.
That's
Uh,
funny.
this is where my head was at, And then, so in the morning, I woke up, I fed the dogs, I let them out, made myself a latte, and then I said, I honestly don't remember 100% even grabbing the pills, but the next thing I know is I was sitting ready to do my schoolwork with 2 bottles of Tylenol in front of me. Both extra strength, but one was rapid release. I kept thinking how I can't think about suicide this much and not follow through. It felt wrong. So I dumped the bottle of rapid release out. Non-rapid release felt like a cop-out. And I put the colorful blue and red pills into groups of 5 because I knew I could swallow up to 5 pills at a time. There were 41 pills in the bottle, so I put 1 pill back and just stared at the 40 because I couldn't have an uneven number.
You're not
um,
crazy.
I know. So I didn't feel like I was thinking, but eventually I just started grabbing and swallowing, and I liked how easy it was until I ran out of coffee. Then I got up and got water, and I finished the last 10 pills. After, I didn't know what to do with myself. I don't know anything about the process. I debated going back to bed, but I didn't want to wake up Mav. And then I got scared. I felt like there was something evil in my stomach, and I put it there. So then I started thinking about my family. I remember sitting on the floor in the corner, being like, there's a monster in my stomach. But I also remember, I want to go back to when I was taking the pills. I got some sort of like high off of it. Like was worried for quite a while after, like even a year after I'd done that, that I would attempt again just because it gave me such like a rush.
Like adrenaline kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I guess so. I don't know. I just remember loving that feeling. So
Okay, wait.
then,
Side point. I can't help but think about like Twilight and and Bella when she keeps endangering her life.
oh, death was my Edward.
Oh no.
That's so
Oh.
funny.
And then back history, Natalia was doing you were doing a drafting course, right? During that time frame? That's the schoolwork you were doing?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
which I don't do because I hate it and I don't want to sit at a computer all day. But, I needed to do something.
Mm.
I muted myself. How old were you?
That was 4 years ago, so I was 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So then, I was about 20 minutes to half an hour before I called and then the paramedics came. Um,
So
the most
you knew you got scared after you took the pills?
About half an hour, 20 minutes, probably closer to 20 minutes later, but it felt like forever. So I'm like, nothing's happening, do, oh my poor family. Whereas at the time when I did it, I was like, Family will be fine. Bronson's only a week old. He won't even care. He won't know me. They'll just be like, "Oh, that auntie and the like my sister that he'll never hear of eventually and everyone will just forget about." That was that was what my thought was. But
Just
now I'm
wild.
their favorite auntie.
I was gonna say, yeah, you are. You're like,
The best auntie.
yeah.
Um, so that happened. Oh, yes, when I was on my way out to the ambulance because I didn't want to go in. I was going to take my own car because I'm like, "Oh, if Maverick's wondering where I am." And then I was like, "Oh, I could just say Sarah picked me up, my friend." Um, but then on my way out, we were almost in there. Maverick came out and started like freaking out. He didn't understand. He was like, "You did that on purpose?" And I'm like, "Yep." Like he just, well, because he never comprehended where I was at. So then, when I got to the hospital, they, I was in bed 4. They immediately came to take blood. They wanted to compare Tylenol levels then in a couple hours. I also had to drink a charcoal drink, which I can still taste in my mouth. And yes, every time I read this, because I read it yesterday and today again, I can still taste it.
Mm.
It's not nice.
Does it taste like charcoal? Like when I
Yeah,
think of charcoal, is that what it tastes like?
yeah, but it's like the texture of it because they turn it into a drink and it's like, and you're like, I don't
Grainy?
know. Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
bad. It's like a charcoal tasting toothpaste that's like
Ew.
stuck. It's just, don't try and kill yourself with pills. There's better ways to do it. Or don't do it at
Just
all.
don't.
Just don't do it at
Just
all.
don't. We'll have to put like show notes in with like links to
Yeah.
help and personal help that we've used and had
Hmm.
in our lives. We can do that.
Yeah, like I had a great counselor and a psychiatrist and all the things after
Mhm.
to get to where we are today. So once I was there, they'd done the blood tests. Maverick was eventually allowed to come in. He was mad. He was fighting with the nurses because he didn't realize I was the one that told them he couldn't come in. Um, but most of the day there, I was shaking and throwing up every time my eyes were open. It was gross. It was almost like I tried to kill myself or something.
So, question.
Yeah.
If you hadn't called them, what would have happened? Would your body would have just shut down?
No, I would have more so, well, yeah, sort of, but it would have been more like liver failure.
Mm.
Like I would have got liver failure first because it shouldn't absorb that much acetaminophen all at once or whatever.
Hmm.
That's actually a thing in here is that my doctor said it was really good that I called when I did, um, because they were shocked at the amount of Tylenol in my blood system because sometimes they're like, oh, someone says they took 40 pills, but they didn't. And
Hmm.
anywho, I did take them, and then it was good timing because I have zero effects from it, which I
Good.
felt was unfair. I felt like my body needed to be punished for what I did.
Mm.
That was also the mindset I was in at that time. Um, so that's mostly like the experience of the suicide attempt. The next day I had a really big, or no, it was a couple days later, poo, and it was completely black. Scared the hell out of me, and then I was like, the charcoal drink. Man, I can't, I wonder what my insides look like right now. Um, and then, yeah, just lots of IVs. I was stuck in ER for 3 days. Then I got moved to the second floor for 2 days. I wasn't allowed my own clothes at that point. I also wasn't allowed to shower with the door locked, or like a nurse had to stand outside because I was considered that much of a threat to myself.
I think you
I
had
could,
limitations on your phone too, right?
that was once I was in the psych ward. I had
Oh,
limitations on my
okay.
phone. I could have my phone until I was in the psych ward.
Mhm.
So while we're kind of at that point in the story, this is also when I got to tell you guys. I just remember dreading it. I remember being shocked that Quinn was crying, and I remember being glad that Auntie was mad. Afterwards, I felt a little hurt that she was so mad. Um, but at the time, I'm like, yeah, you hate me. This is great. So what was your guys' experience with that?
You want to go first, Vienna?
You go ahead.
Okay. Well, I had just had a baby, so I was up lots, and I can't remember exactly, but like, mom got a call late at night, and I don't think that this is no, so this would be a call from your ex. So that you were in the hospital, and she didn't have to say anything. I didn't know anything. I went downstairs and I was like, she tried to kill herself, didn't she? And she's like, mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I'll wait till you know what's going on and then we can talk. Like I just like had that weird like gut feeling that that's what had happened.
That sound is Natalia pouring the rest of the bottle of wine.
To be fair, they are miniature bottles.
Oh, it's a
Bottle.
baby
It's a
bottle.
baby.
Baby.
And then I also started drinking this yesterday. I didn't
Oh,
just nail this back
there is no
today.
need to explain yourself. That's funny. Okay, sorry, Z.
Yeah, no. So that was when I found out. And then when I talked to you, I actually don't remember talking to you.
I don't remember talking to you either.
I think for some reason I feel like I was like, mm-hmm, yeah, okay, like talk to Quinn for some
Yeah.
reason. Which
Yeah.
is strange. We can try and
No, I
debunk
think
that
that's
later.
like a coping like survival mode. You're like, okay, I got the facts. Let's go from here kind of thing.
Yeah,
Is
like
what my
I
assumption
honestly
would
didn't
be.
care about where you were at that moment in time or like why. I feel like I knew why. I feel like I knew
The
that
situation.
the situation enough to be like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. So, but yeah, what about you, Vienna?
Well, I was clueless, okay?
What is new?
And yeah, so this was, like we said, during COVID. Xena had just had a baby. And what month was this, Natalia? I was very pregnant, right?
It was November.
November.
Yeah. Very
Right, yeah.
pregnant.
I was very pregnant because I was
Oh,
due in December.
that is so mean of me. I'm sorry. That now
And I
you were eight
just,
months pregnant and he made it through. Even with the stress of my attempt.
oh, that is so morbid, Natalia.
Well, now I'm
Um,
feeling guilt for that, even though that
no,
was 4 years ago.
don't feel guilt for that. We're glad you're here. Anyways, I was at home and I just remember I think Xena or Mum called me and let me know. And the only thing I really remember is falling on the ground, just bawling, initially super sad, and then angry that I couldn't come to Canada because the borders were shut down. Like I was at that time, it was not allowed to cross, I don't believe. I think my first time coming over was February, like the February after this November. So
Yeah,
it was still like a while until I was allowed to come. And when I did come, I had to quarantine still for the 2 weeks, which was ridiculous. Anyways,
it was great. We all quarantined
No, it
together.
was great because Natalia was
yes,
living with us at that point
Mm-hmm.
already.
yes,
And then, yeah.
it was lovely for that. And King was with us and everything. It was nice. But initially super, super upset. And then it set in where I was angry because I have never felt that way. And so for me, it was so hard for me to understand how you felt and how others feel, how you get to that point. And like in my head, I'm like, oh, this is so selfish, blah, 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 which is so stupid because like I can't even imagine how you feel. So it's
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
hard for me, for my brain to get wrapped around that. So I think it's something it's good to talk about and to know how you are feeling. Like I've never heard these notes or anything. So it's so good for me to like hear them and
Yeah.
know all of that. But yeah, that was my side.
Have you still never felt that way, Vienna?
No, no.
No,
There's
you have
days,
even.
especially now, I would say I'm so hormonal. This will be for next week's topic, but there's days where I'm like, oh my God, I wish I was just like I say things like, oh, I would love to drive my car into a pole. Oh, I'd love to die. But there's not a time where I truly truly want to be dead. Because like I say those things, but I don't actually truly feel that way because I'm like I have so many things to be thankful for. Like I have King, Tanner, you guys, everything. Like I don't know. Even when
Mhm.
stuff's so crappy, I still feel like I have so much more to be thankful for. And I'm
Yeah.
also mentally-ish stable, I would say.
I think you're killing it at life. I have to quickly plug in my computer. You guys keep talking.
But yeah, that's just how I have felt. Even with now feeling like the past 2 months, feeling like I've been the least stable I've ever been. I still have
Hmm.
never felt that way. And I still find it very, very hard to understand how someone gets to that point. But I think you do have to be mentally,
You have to be
yeah, a little unstable.
yeah.
Yes, which is, there's not a problem with that. And I hope that anybody that does feel that way gets the help that they need because it's so important and your family does want you here.
Yeah.
That was on my
Um,
list to do when I was preparing. Sorry to interrupt, and I totally forgot.
It's okay, you're mentally ill.
yeah. Um,
I know.
so Natalia, through
Yes,
that
ma'am.
experience, do you think that if like, what do you think would have helped pull you out of that? Or do you think that you needed to live through that experience to be where you're at now? Not that I think anyone should have to attempt suicide to get better, but
No, it would have been, well, like how we've dealt with me since I've been in that situation,
true.
having my family aware, having you guys know when I'm not doing okay, that I will make a lot more jokes about it because it'll be in the back of my mind all the time. It'll be, yeah, just so like having people around you aware of what you're going through
Mhm.
to check in and like, yeah, yeah, to check in on you because otherwise it very well, like if I was alone again in certain times where I felt like that, or if I stopped talking to you guys, that's the thing, is I will stop talking to you guys and you immediately know like what's up, right?
Yeah.
So before that you didn't because I wasn't telling you how I was feeling.
Well,
So
and you
it's
weren't
really,
Truly.
close enough to know, right?
yeah. So it's so important to have a support system. People who can check in, love you, care about you, all that stuff.
I was gonna say, always check on your friends, make sure they're doing well, especially if you do know that they have those thoughts that are
Yeah.
clinging.
And is like I hated it. I didn't want people to know because I wanted to be successful in what I was planning on doing. Like I hated the idea of being a failure, which obviously now I don't feel like a failure. I'm very grateful that I didn't. Although, sorry, joke. I was gonna make a dark joke. I won't make dark jokes. No one should kill themselves.
No, I feel like I have a little bit more insight to the opposite side of where Natalia was at because after her attempt, there was a lot of stuff that was going on in her personal life, which we can delve into later. But she ended up coming and living with us because basically she needed eyes on her at all times. And in our household, there's like 100 people here all the time, it feels like. So we
Yeah.
we were able
Hmm.
to do that. But I think for the first year afterwards, you made jokes about being a failure.
Yeah, I felt like such a failure.
Like for a long time. And I would say it's genuinely though, I feel like you've done really well in short bursts, but right now is probably the most like the best,
Strongest, the best.
the strongest.
I genuinely feel like childhood, teenage years included, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Hmm.
Which is just like,
It's
and
crazy.
it's just gonna
Yeah.
get better.
Makes me so happy. It's so funny, Zine. You were saying like the first year after.
Hmm.
I giggled because it made me think of something that Jasmine said to me about how she always called herself a failure. Jasmine called me manic the other day because I constantly am always putting myself down now. Because I was talking to her about how insecure I am now, but I'm like constantly always saying crappy things. And I feel like once something like happens and like Natalia felt like a failure, I feel like my body failed me, these certain things. And you shit on yourself for so long. And people don't do that. It's not good for you. Don't do it. That's it. That was my thought. But I thought it was so funny that I got called manic.
Well, that's kind of crazy because here's two flip sides of it. I felt like a failure for mental things, and you're feeling like a failure for a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not actually something either of us had
Could
control of at the
control.
time. Yours you
Exactly.
couldn't control. Mine
Mm-hmm.
I
Couldn't
can.
control. Well, with help
Well, I
and,
guess,
and knowing.
yeah, no, also
Mm-hmm.
my situation was kind of volatile, so I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
control those things, but that's why we have left and are where we are, just because, some people don't go together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Sorry, what were you gonna say, Z?
no, it's okay. So, where we were in the conversation is so you had just been able to call all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of how we reacted.
Mm-hmm.
You cried, Vienna, which is weird. Hey?
I I was on the ground bawling, and I just remember running to Tanner, being like, "Natalya tried to kill herself," and I was ready to leave, but I couldn't. Like there was no way that I could, and I was so angry at everything.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
But why are
sorry.
you surprised I cried?
You just don't like crying.
No, I don't.
So, it's
Hey, I
really
was out dancing and drinking with friends, and I cried twice that night. Okay, twice. My hormones are everywhere right now.
you sound
Oh.
So
fun to be around.
they were very short and brief, and I took
Hmm.
myself outside, okay? Very, very short, okay?
The fact that you can pull yourself together when you're crying is like amazing to me. Once I'm crying, it's like just no
Oh,
help for me.
it's because I hate it. I don't enjoy crying, and every time I do, I'm like, ah, frick, Vienna, like stop.
I mean, I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but I also know that it's good for you. You should
I think
cry
she enjoyed
more.
it. I hear her cry sometimes. It's passionate.
That's
Yeah,
like,
starts throwing up. She's so into it.
It's been a little bit since that's happened, but um
Oh, that's funny.
okay, so you called us, you let us know, and then
Hmm.
after that you were checked into the psych ward?
So no,
No.
because when
Okay.
I told you the day after, so the Friday, I was still in ER for one more day. That experience was not fun. There was one moment where I had to talk to the psychiatrist on the iPad because it was all COVID. There weren't actual doctors in there with you. And there was this guy beside me, David, who was also later in the psych ward with me. And I loved eavesdropping on his conversations. But he did not like eavesdropping on mine, and he kept telling me to shut the hell up. And then I was like, I'm sorry, I have to go. I was very vulnerable and awful feeling.
why, why did he not want to hear your conversations?
Oh, he said he had his own crap to deal with.
She's painting this down in her notes. He's like swearing at her and like, I
Yeah.
got enough bleep and bleep to deal with myself and you shut up and
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. He had his own crap to deal with, you know? It was
well,
rough.
I hope he remembers how mean he was to you, and I hope he regrets it.
Yeah, that's for sure not a thing. He was the type that would later, when we were in there, be tied up like this.
Oh, okay. I hope people watch the video so they can see that example.
Yeah, okay, so then I was upstairs. I met two very nice ladies. I forget their names. It was like Evelyn and something, but I made friends. They were nice. And then once I finally got to the psych ward, that was probably the most, and obviously I haven't been through a lot of stuff like that, but it felt very dehumanizing, if you could say that. Um, you didn't have rights. I didn't have rights to my phone. I didn't have rights to my clothes. I couldn't use a razor to shave. I had to be watched when I was showered. Everything was very vulnerable feeling. You were told what to do, when to do it. but that was just for the first bit. Slowly, I remember being so excited when I could finally wear my own sweatpants. I was like, oh, I get my own sweatpants. I don't have to wear these, like, they're like lost and found clothes that they have you wear from somewhere in the hospital. I don't know. It was not nice. It was very, you didn't feel like your own human.
And do I remember this correctly that they couldn't have string in them, or is that like a not
Yeah,
is
you couldn't have
like
string. You
yeah.
go, can't
Yeah.
do that. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to hang
String.
yourself.
And then, like, your utensils, I remember you being really ticked about having to, like, cut a meatball or something
No, it was
with, like,
meatloaf with
meatloaf.
a cardboard spoon. I
Oh,
Yes.
couldn't even stab it.
that's
I
funny.
wasn't eating meat at the time, but it still irritated me. And then because I wasn't eating meat at the time, I got the same thing for dinner every night for at least 2 weeks straight. I have never been so skinny as when I left the psych ward. I was like 118, I think, at that time. I really liked
Yay.
it. I thought I looked really nice and tiny, but everyone else thought I was anorexic. But yeah, no, it was good. It was a really good learning process because when you're in there, because you don't have your devices or anything like that, you have that time to actually sit and journal and think about all the things you need to do. They give you the workbooks so you can learn how to be more assertive, be more mindful. They give you the tools if you want the tools. There's a lot of people who are in there and who are angry and just they end up coming and going a lot. But I wanted the tools, I asked for them, and so I did the homework when I was in there. That ended up being good. Um, I guess also when people are in there when it's not COVID, you can have visitors more freely, but I couldn't. Um, so I got to see Sarah only a couple times. I only got to see my ex a couple times. None which were great. He was like still a butthead when I was in there. I remember us trying to be like, hey, how can we communicate more? And he would be like, well, just be happier. I don't like how emotionally exhausted you are all the time. It's in my notes that I had an appointment with the counselor and then the psychiatrist. I was just drained. I was always tired. My go-to when I'm emotionally not with it is I'm just tired. I sleep. I'm so good at sleeping. And he was ticked at me. He was like, I left work early to come visit and you're tired. I'm like, yes, yes, I'm very tired. Um, and then also while I was in there, that's when our dog Portly died because he was having seizures. Maverick brought him to the hospital, held him, had seizures. He got put down. So it was really just like a really crappy experience. And then a new battle I had when I was leaving was I was trying to be assertive and not let people control things. So I had to battle both Mum and Mav to let me actually drive down to Vancouver in my car so I could have my dog and everything with me. I didn't want someone to pick me up. I didn't want Mav to drive me down. I wanted to drive myself down. But, they would only let me go if they thought I was okay. Um, oh, that's another thing I forgot. I wasn't legally allowed to leave. If I left, I would have been arrested. And I thought that was really funny. Made me feel like a badass and like I had street cred. I'm not allowed to leave the hospital. So that's that story. How's everyone feel?
Well, I want to know more. I want to know. So you were in there for 2 weeks?
No, I was in there for a month.
Oh, wow, 4 weeks then.
Yeah,
Wild. Okay, that is a very long time. I forgot that.
yeah.
Did it go by fast or slow?
No, slowest month of my life. Um, they did have activities when you were in there. So there was chair yoga, which I did with all the old fogies, sat in a chair, and we all did our stretches together. And I joined it all because what else am I gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
I finished my first 1,000-piece puzzle while I was in there. They had a wall that everyone could paint on. I finished a couple paintings. I played ping pong. I crocheted some hats. Like, Played crib with a couple of people. Also in my notes, there was one guy there that was giving me the heebie-jeebies. I don't remember what happened with that. I don't even remember that, but so I got the notes. That was another thing. Our doors didn't lock. And so one night I'd fallen asleep and I had my phone, and then a nurse came in at night and took my phone and then took it to the nurse's station. And I remember feeling so violated, but then also so fearful because I was just terrified that another person could come in. I know they have cameras, but I did not sleep good when I was there, because I was scared a lot of the other people that were in there because they're
That
dealing
they
with
could
all
do,
sorts of things.
right, that they
Like,
could do something to you.
yeah, it wasn't just people who were suicidal. There was people who were seeing things. There's like
Mm,
all sorts of crazy. Everyone's got their something.
yeah.
And you do crazy things, and then some people are also just predators. And I was afraid of that.
Maybe you want to
So
sing that song. Everybody's got that something. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really want to change it into like some creepy, weird predator song, but I got nothing.
Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about your healing and how you have gotten to where you are now.
Well, so I came down here and I lived down here for a year. Being down here with my family and also having Bronson, and Kingsley and Everly, like they were the lights of my life. Like, if you ask anyone, you guys know it. I love the kids so much. And then I also kept up with counseling after that. And the medication that I got put on when I was in the hospital was different than any other medication I'd tried before. Because I'd been on antidepressants. But this was a different kind. The kind I'm on now is called literally the happy pill, and it's just like a serotonin booster. And so I'm all full of serotonin now, and it's really good. Um, but I honestly can't remember a ton, if I'm being honest, except for the more recent events, because I did end up going back to Terrace. Things did get really bad again. I think I was back there for a year or 2 years, almost 2 years, I think, until this last time that I've come down, and I won't be going back ever again. So, it
Yeah,
was
it'll be a
just,
year that you've been down here in
December.
December. Like, yeah.
yeah. So it was 2 years that I was back there for, and, um, yeah, that situation just didn't work. We were trying to fit into shells that didn't work. I don't know how to explain it without throwing my ex under the bus and being really harsh about it. That's not what I want to do with this episode. But even while I was there, we did counseling together. That was good when things worked. But ultimately, it was the meds and the support I got from you guys. Like, that's what got me to where I am today.
As like an outsider in the situation, I would say to anyone that has family members that deal with suicidal thoughts or suicidal tendencies, be patient. There is rough days. There was weeks where Natalia like would barely get out of bed when
Hmm.
you first came down here. Like
Yeah.
it was, and it would be like it was hard because one day would be like a really good day, or like the morning, maybe 2 hours would be really awesome, and then all of a sudden it would be like a full turnaround, and then she'd be asleep or cry barfing. So it's
Yeah.
like it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes like understanding, especially if you don't feel that way or you never have, and hopefully you don't. But um yeah, it was a really rough, like the first few months especially were really hard afterwards, and then it would be good, and then it would be bad, and then it ebbed and flowed in its own way. But be patient with your people or with yourself.
Yeah.
because,
Mm-hmm.
I would say I went through that, honestly, the ups and downs, not as
mm,
dramatic, of course, until, what, 3 months ago, maybe?
well,
Two
I mean, they were
months
pretty
ago?
dramatic not that long ago.
But that's what I mean, like,
Yeah.
until my meds were because I'd been on them for almost no, 4 years now. Yeah, 4 years now. They had to be upped. My body got used to them, and I was still going through a rough patch, especially if things with my ex were pretty volatile, especially with the divorce coming around. All the outside aspects will affect you, but things are better now. But I even a couple days ago, well, you were having like a kind of sad day, but then I had that too, but it just hit me, and I'm like, I gotta go to bed. Like,
Hmm.
and I just like, it sucks because sometimes you forget when you feel good that you need to do that, but otherwise you just burn out and you end up worse. So you need to like give yourself some grace too. Let yourself sleep or whatever it is that you need to cope, but I sleep.
I wish that I listened to myself in that sense more because I'm such a go, go, go person. I like to get things done. I like, and I don't give myself that grace at all. I will be dead tired. I will know that I need a nap, and it does not happen. I just push through, keep doing whatever I need to do, and sleep later. But I
Yeah.
should have more naps because when I do, they feel so good, and it kind of is like a little healing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
It is
mean,
really for
like,
sure.
yeah, Taylor, my boss, she will have naps with Ivy and then works out like almost every day. Zena and I have been working out. That has been so good for both of us, but I definitely
Hmm.
see it with you. And then when I sleep, I'm a better human. Like, there's so many things that we just need to give ourselves grace, take that time, because in every other aspect of your life, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna be better. Vienna, I'm so worried you're gonna burn out because you don't stop. You just go, 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 and it just like I don't function like that, but like I don't think you should either.
Also, like, as a side point, I suffer from the same thing that you do, where, like, you almost feel like you're failing at the day if you stop and don't accomplish what you've wanted to do.
Hmm.
And I think that is very much a product of how we were raised.
Hmm.
And I have to stop, and I think I get really angry is the problem. Like, I borderline think I have, like, anger management problems. But, um, I have to, like, talk myself off the ledge of, like, freaking out sometimes and just be like, just sit and chill out with your kids, like, or just go lay down with them. You don't even have to sleep, but just taking those moments. And I feel like for me, it's helpful when I think about it in the sense of I don't want to teach my kids that their productivity is equivalent to their self-worth.
Yeah, their value.
Their value isn't based on what they can accomplish in a day,
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm constantly telling myself that, so maybe, you know,
I
it's
really
also
need to do
a
that.
form of self-love. It's like if you think about it, maybe is like teaching King that taking care of yourself isn't just about how good you eat and how much you work out,
Hmm. No,
right?
I
Like,
know. I really do need to slow down. Like today, I wanted to take him out to get stuff to buy slime, but then I was like, oh my gosh, we need soap and we need this. Then we went grocery shopping and then we went into Michael's to get like the stuff to put into the slime. And he saw slime that he wanted to buy, and I was like, oh, perfect. We'll just buy the slime. And he was happy to play, like, he was happy, but I wanted to make the slime to like actually do the activity with him, slow down and actually do the things. But then I was like, oh, this is perfect. I have time now to like do my laundry, get the kitchen clean, do all these things to catch up. But I should have just gotten the stuff to make the damn slime. So stupid, these little things. And then you beat yourself down for it. But a happy note is this morning I was working out and I was talking to Jennifer, and I was just bitching and complaining about how I've been feeling. And as King was with us down there working out too, well, working out. And I was like, "Ah," and I just feel like such a bad mom. All these Mom, you're not a bad mommy. You can't say that. And I'm just like, oh, my heart, it just shatters every time. He's so sweet and so loving. So it makes you feel better. But I still know I do need to slow down because I just need to. Otherwise, it's true. You're going to burn out. It's not fun.
Yeah,
No.
that makes me all teary on the inside.
The
I'm
first
like,
time, yeah, that's his second time saying that because I
that's
was
so
having a
cute.
breakdown and we were driving in the car and he said that. And then I just started crying more. But he's such a sweet boy. Yeah.
He's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, see, look, I had to attempt suicide to get to this point to learn these things where I now have, healthy boundaries with family members and people who I used to try really hard to be friends with just because I thought that they were part of the family. Whereas I think, well, Xena, I'm seeing her learn that now, which is really great. But we all got to learn it eventually, and hopefully not with the attempts on life or with burning out. So hopefully, Vienna, you can give yourself grace, take those moments,
Mm-hmm.
and make the damn slime.
Zena, quick question. Yes, I know. Do you have your phone on you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I sent you a video on TikTok and I want you to play it into your mic. No, it's not. It's a blonde girl.
Mm-mm.
No? All right,
No.
well, I can't use my phone because it's up there. So
You
that's too
failed us,
bad.
Vienna.
Well, I'm just gonna cut that part out. Anyways, um, so this
I.
video on TikTok, what?
Oh, no, no, go ahead.
Okay, so this video on TikTok, it was this girl, and she was like, it's a video on perspective. And she opens it and she just goes, I'm already 30. I spent the last spent the last year running around trying to figure out what I want to do. All my friends are getting married or engaged. And, my job is really hard. And I'm now living at home with my parents. And then she's like, and you can flip the perspective. I got to travel the entire last year. I was out with all my friends. I'm so thankful for my job. I work from home and I'm still able to travel. I get to live with my parents for these last few years and be close with them before I get married and move off. And, I'm 30. I have so much ahead of me. And I just thought that was such like it's good to view perspective like that and to view things like that rather than the prior the
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, but
I
I was just like
have
it's
a really stupid joke kind of about that. It's like, oh, I know this guy who he works out every day. He has sex like, a couple times a day. He gets 3 meals, blah blah blah. And then it turns out that he's in prison. He's getting
perspective. That
perspective. Yeah.
is
Because,
so funny.
some people would think, yeah, 3 meals a day, you're exercising, you get the sex. That sounds great.
No.
Depends on your perspective.
That's funny.
So stupid.
I don't think that's stupid. That's actually
It's
so.
true.
So any other questions, guys? Vienna, I know this was the first time hearing those notes and stuff for you, so anything else?
I don't think so. I think it's good to hear the notes though, especially as someone who doesn't understand that feeling at all. But yeah,
Well,
we'll
that
definitely put
feel
some more trigger warnings in the beginning, and in our notes, we'll put some ways that people can reach out to.
Yeah. But
Hopefully,
just like a little bit more on that feeling, if we can add this in or cut it out or whatever.
mm,
But there's no reasoning with it when you're there. So like Xena said, you gotta be patient with your friends who are feeling like that because the only way I can describe it for myself, and I know everyone's experience is different, but I was just so desperate. It just felt like the only possible option. There were no other options. And so when you're feeling like that, like how can you function any other way? Like can you imagine if you're I don't know, Vienna, you're such a determined person. In your head, you're like, I'm not eating meat. There's no other option. I have to do this, which is such a different thing. But you were just so determined you have to do it, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
do it. You stick to it. But if that's your mindset about killing yourself, like imagine how overwhelming that would be.
Mm-hmm.
And it just affects every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like something just constantly at the back of your mind. You're like, oh, I gotta go grocery shopping, but oh, I should actually have killed myself, so I don't need to go grocery shopping. Like I'm not
Hmm.
doing what I should be doing is probably how it felt, which is
Like you'd purposely either spend money because you're like, well, money does matter, or you wouldn't spend it because you're like, well, I don't need those groceries because I'm not going to be eating because I'm going to be dead. Or like you're driving and you're like, oh, well, like I'm going to go get the groceries. Oh, but look, there's that telephone pole. I could just end it right now. Like, but then for myself, a lot of it was like, I don't want to drive into the traffic or into that. What if I hit someone? Like, I didn't want to affect other people. That was thankfully a saving grace for me that controlled a lot of the ways that I would have liked to. Is because I didn't want to mess up other people. I knew I was messed up and I wanted my mess to be mine. I didn't want that to be, like if a gun. I don't want someone else to have to clean up my brains because that sounds shitty for them and like it's gonna affect them. If I could have just disappeared into the woods as well, but then you're missing and then well anywho, yeah, so it's just like it affects your life in every way when you're feeling that desperate, and that's like your only train of thought at that time, or at least from my experience.
I also feel like I should mention that this wasn't like a cure-all. Natalia like was tired and dealt with a lot, but also like how many months ago now were you feeling very suicidal again? Probably just before
Oh,
you got your pills upped again, right?
just before I got my pills upped, I literally walked out the door to go do it. And I was gonna hang myself this time, and I had a certain tree in mind, and I had gone and visited that tree a couple times, and I had rope in my car, and I had dog leashes, because I'm like, oh, you just tie that, and you hook it around here, and and there was no, like, that would tighten, that would do the things. Dog leashes are strong. It's not gonna break. I was very much prepared for that. And still at that time, I was like, kids are gonna be fine, family's gonna be fine, everyone moves on, time goes on, blah blah blah. But then Xena and Quinn caught me on my way out the door and were like, "Oh, you're going to where are you going?" I was like, "To Abbey Grind," because the tree was near there. And they're like, "Well, you should take your dog." And so I was like, "Okay, fine." I was all mad about it. I was pissed, so pissed. Oh, they caught me. I gotta take my stupid dog. And then I was
It was
driving
so
there.
mad.
I was so mad. And I was driving there and I just bawled. I was so, and I'm not usually a mad person. That's like my last emotion ever. It's usually sadness. So the fact that I was mad was like that wasn't me. Um and then yeah, I just knew my dog, that would be hard for him. He's literally saved my life a couple of times now, I swear. I just, yeah, that stopped me. And the fact that I felt like they knew what I was going to do. Um, and I didn't like the idea of them sitting at home thinking that. Yeah, it took over, thankfully. But that was just a couple months ago. And this was something I meditated on a lot.
Yeah, that was a really hard time, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because there was like a lot of like I don't know if this is the right terminology, but like a lot of manic behavior that had been happening leading up to that.
Yeah. And a lot of
And
self-hate
then
because I'd made some stupid choices. Um, where it affected how I viewed myself as a person. So that self-hate really grew and was
it
messing
was
with
an ugly thing,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then like being the on the opposite end of like that whole scenario of like storming out of the house to go for a walk, I was pretty angry and like I knew I felt like I needed to do something, and I think it was Quinn actually who was like, just let her go. Like you can't control. It's funny because like he was like, you can't control her. You can't like babysit her. You can't do all these things. So you can let her go and watch her phone because I have her your location. And I was like, okay. And then if you stopped anywhere that I kind of like it pretty much I was just gonna watch your location and either call the cops or drive to you was my game plan in my brain.
Yeah.
Um, but we didn't even it wasn't even that long before you had turned around and come back home. Like I
No, and honestly, the fact that you guys did just let me go kind of made like the world's biggest impact on it too. I don't know how to explain it. I can't really put myself right like there at this time. I process things slow as heck. It just makes me want to cry right now. So I don't know how to say
Yeah, that's
these
fair.
things.
That's fair. You know what though? It makes me think of the Dimensional app. It's like a personality app that we've all been kind of on
I
recently.
love.
And it's like your hell. Wasn't it the other day that like it's being
Yes,
controlled or being told to stay or anything like that?
someone asserting their dominance over me is my hell.
Yeah.
1000%. That was my marriage.
And as the older sister, it was really hard not to be like, the F you're going for a walk right now. Like, and I think Quinn saved the day with that one. And I think when you got home, you and him ended up talking for a long time too, because he was like, why don't you just take your dog and this other thing? And I had followed you out and I was like, no, I don't think you should go for a walk. And then I was
Yeah.
like, no, you're an adult and you're gonna make adult choices, but like
I mean,
it was very, very stressful time. But also, you know, that and the up in your pills and then like you did have to do a hospital visit. Um,
that was against my
because
will. I knew I was okay at that point, but it still's on the record, so, it's helpful.
well,
I was so afraid to end up in the hospital again. I do not want to go back there.
just like a pro and a con because you're
Yeah,
like if I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna do it good this time. And if I'm not, I sure as crap don't want to be in the hospital.
that
So
is a
it's like,
really great way to explain it. It is a
oh.
pro and a con. I know it was so good for me. So good, guys. Go to the hospital. But my God, I don't ever want to go to the hospital again. It was fine though. It was also the fact that before I was like illegally wasn't allowed to leave, and I was just so scared that if I went there to talk to them, that they would force me to stay. But that wasn't the case. They talked to me. They just checked in, and then I got to leave and go home, and I was like, thank God. So it was beneficial, but just I had that fear from before.
I also think it would have been a different situation this time if because it would be the hospital close to home. We'd be able to bring you food. We'd be able to bring you blah 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 blah.
Clothes
Like,
without strings.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we went shopping beforehand before you had to go to the hospital to find something comfy to wear
Yeah.
because it was like, you know, if you do
Everyone
it like
knew we had a go bag for if I was really like just like that's so insane. Think of the support and love I've had through it this time. Like we had the go bag. We were prepared. We were like, oh, if she doesn't take her dog, like
we
it
had
was it
all
was
the
really
smutty fairy books.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
No,
good.
so yeah. Anything, Vienna? Sorry, we kind of took over there for a moment, but
No, no, just listening, enjoying.
Enjoying the chaos.
Yes.
I think
Yeah, I can't talk about it anymore because otherwise I'm gonna cry, and I said I wasn't gonna do that. So
you're so strong.
I thank you. I feel very strong right now, guys.
It's actually doing really good.
It's
So
so funny. I was gonna say the exact same thing, Zena. But I meant it. I wasn't saying it sarcastically. You bitch. Oh, that's funny.
I I just think I don't even know how you round something like this up to end to close out an episode because
Well, this is how. We are so proud of you, Natalia, and we're
Thanks,
so
guys.
happy that you're here. And next week, we hope the listeners join us to learn about how awesome fetal demise is. That's just kidding. I'm kidding. That is a joke. That is really dark humor. I'm so sorry, but yeah, thank you for listening and joining us if you are listening or watching.
And
And
if
yeah.
you aren't feeling okay mentally, get the help, find the support. It is the most beautiful thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And you
And
will be
reach
so
out,
grateful.
Reach out to us.
reach out to us.
Oh, yeah.
I
We love
mean,
talking to people. And
Our
I will share my
email.
I'm
counselor with you.
Yes, we'll share our email, our TikTok, and our Instagram and counselors, and you can reach out to any of us. Natalia specifically is probably the best. She'll probably be able to help you the most.
Or an outsider
absolutely.
view. Xena will probably be able to help you the best.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all good things. We love you, and we didn't kill ourselves this week.
Bye.